Let's get right into it. World War I's rhubarb mistake. The government's deadly diet tip. 1917. Britain is starving. World War I has cut off food supplies, and someone in the government has history's worst idea. Hey, they said, looking at rhubarb plants, why are we only eating the stalks? Look at all these big, beautiful leaves going to waste. This was about as smart as using poison ivy for salad. See, while rhubarb stalks make great pies, the leaves are basically nature's way of saying, do not eat. They're packed with something called oxalic acid. This stuff doesn't mess around. It can shut down your kidneys, stop your muscles from working, turn your insides into a disaster zone. But the British government starts telling everyone to eat these toxic leaves. Official posters, radio announcements, eat rhubarb leaves for victory. People started cooking these leaves by the pound. They thought they were being good citizens, helping the war effort. Instead, they were poisoning themselves for king and country. This wasn't some random guy's bad advice. This was the actual government saying, hey everyone, eat these poisonous leaves. They're totally fine. They skipped the whole, maybe we should test this first step, and went straight to, let's feed it to the entire country. Ancient Egypt's toothbreaker bread, the sandwich that destroyed smiles. Imagine biting into your lunch and hearing your teeth crack. Not from a hard crust, from actual rocks baked right into your bread. Welcome to ancient Egypt, where every meal was basically a dental demolition derby. Here's what happened. When Egyptians ground their grain, tiny chunks of stone from the grinding wheels would chip off and mix with the flour. And since Egypt is one giant sandbox, wind would blow sand straight into the dough. So every single bite was like chewing on sandpaper. Day after day, meal after meal, their teeth were being ground down to nothing. The enamel would wear away, exposing the raw nerves underneath. Ever had a toothache? Now imagine that pain, but in every single tooth with no dentist for the next 3,000 years. And remember, this was before antibiotics. So when those exposed nerves got infected, and they always did, that simple toothache could kill you. Your jaw would swell up. The infection would spread to your brain. Game over. The Egyptians tried to fix this by making their own toothpaste. Their solution? Mix crushed rocks with herbs and salt. Because obviously the cure for too many rocks in your food is put more rocks in your mouth. Number 7. Formaldehyde fresh milk. The killer in your kitchen. Picture this. It's 1890. You're a kid reaching for a cold glass of milk. But that milk? It's been preserved with the same chemical they pump into dead bodies at the funeral home. Yeah, you heard that right. Your great-great-grandparents were literally drinking embalming fluid with their morning cereal. Here's the sick part. The formaldehyde actually made the milk taste sweeter. So kids were begging for more of this death juice, thinking it was a treat. Parents had no idea. They were basically poisoning their own children with every sip. In Indiana alone, over 400 kids died from what they called embalmed milk. 400 dead kids from drinking milk. But wait, it gets worse. Before the formaldehyde craze, dairy producers had even more twisted ideas. They'd dump in plaster dust to make the milk look whiter. Sometimes they'd blend in actual calf brains to make it creamier. I'm not making this up. One newspaper in 1900 tested milk samples and found worms, sticks, hair, and actual chunks of cow poop in the milk that people were drinking. So next time you're grossed out by milk, that's a day past its expiration date. Just remember, at least it's not seasoned with funeral juice and garnished with manure. Arsenic green desserts. The Victorian poison party. Victorian dinner parties were deadly. And I'm not talking about the small talk. Picture this. You're at a fancy party in 1850. Someone hands you a slice of the most beautiful bright green cake you've ever seen. The color is so vivid, it almost glows. That's because it's made with actual poison. That stunning green came from something called Shields green. Sounds fancy, right? It's basically arsenic mixed with copper. These people were literally eating poison because it looked pretty. Victorian bakers were dumping this toxic green dye into everything. Candies, jellies, fancy cakes, birthday treats for kids, all packed with deadly arsenic. Here's the insane part. Everyone knew arsenic was poison. It wasn't a secret, but apparently, if you made the poison pretty enough, people would eat it anyway. There's this story about a 9-year-old candy maker who got violently sick just from making these green sweets. Not eating them, just making them. But the Victorians didn't stop at food. They used the same arsenic green in their wallpaper, their dresses, their artificial flowers. These people were basically marinating themselves in poison 24/7, eating it, wearing it, sleeping surrounded by it. No wonder so many of them died young.